Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're taking a look at new deck lists from the upcoming Silver Tempest set that we're going to be getting in November. Pretty sure the 11th of November, Silver Tempest will released. But the counterpart over in Japan, Paradigm Trigger, just released today, or for them, because they're ahead of the U.S. at least yesterday for them. So we're going to be looking at some initial lists for like kind of the three main cards of the set. That's going to be Lugia VSTAR, Regidrago VSTAR, and Regieleki VMAX. We have a decent amount of lists. As you can see, all this Twitter and these little squares are deck lists we're going to be looking at today. And we're going to be starting off with Lugia, probably the one people are most interested in. I've heard a lot of talk on Twitter about, is Lugia actually good? I think it is. I have some spicy lists that I'm working on for it. No leaks on that, but I think Lugia definitely has legs to do super well, especially because it's kind of unique in the way that you can build it. You can build like straight Lugia, or you can build it with alongside other cards, which are going to see some of. Specifically, right here, this Lugia VSTAR Gengar VMAX deck. Now, there's actually like two Lugia VSTAR Gengar decks, which I was not expecting. I expected Lugia VSTAR just by itself to be much more popular. I definitely did not expect Lugia VSTAR with Gengar to be at least have two lists here that did win or do well at least. And so starting off the Lugia VSTAR, at least in this deck, the main use is going to be using the Star Assemble VSTAR power that allows you to take two colorless Pokemon that don't have rule boxes from your discard pile, put them onto your bench. So this allows you to cheat out Archeops, which allows you to accelerate special energy from your deck to your Pokemon. And then you have a bunch of different ways you can play. This one specifically playing with the Gengar VMAX, because you have access to single strike energy to make the Gengar do even more damage to 1 KO V-Stars, as well as Fear and Panic as a nice little option there as well. That can be used for just 2 turn attachments or for a single Archeops. It also can 1 KO Mew, which is nice, but we're also still playing the 4 powerful energy, so we can actually attack with Lugia and get some one-shots in there with Lugia, because Lugia's attack isn't actually that bad. 4 energy for 220 and discard a stadium card to play is not that bad when we have the powerful energies to buff it. We also see this as playing 2 V-Guard energies to give our Gengar VMAX and Lugia V-Star a little bit more HP, which is nice. 2 Aurora energies as well, so we can just have more access to dark energies. 3 Hiding Darkness energy is the energy you can see. It's entirely special energies because there's a lot of broken special energies in the game right now. We also see the 2 copies of Worker, which is a card that I think is pretty decent actually. It's just draw 3 and discard a stadium from play, which is really, really good actually, because having a stadium counter built in on a supporter is really good for multiple reasons. It allows you to play Path and then discard Path on your turn, so you get access to your V Pokemon's abilities, which is nice. It can get rid of a path that your opponent played, so you can use your abilities again. At the very worst, it's just draw 3, which isn't too bad. We've seen stuff like Avery C play, Bird Keeper, which both just say draw 3, but also have that additional effect on there. Worker is kind of the same thing. 2 copies of Marnie, 2 Boss, a copy of Piers to search out your Gengar VMAXs, as well as your special energy, which is a cool option. Don't know how useful it's going to be though, because we do have the pretty heavy search engine here, as well as the Archeops tutor our energy. So I don't know how useful that Piers is going to be, but it's definitely cool to see that kind of coming into play here with the special energy heavy deck. We have 1 copy of Serena, which is kind of an interesting new card that allows you to choose one, either gust up a bench Pokemon V of your opponents, or discard, I'm pretty sure it's discard any amount of cards from your hand. I'm not actually sure on that, and then draw until you have 5. I know that does at least draw until you have 5. So that's also can be used for getting your Archeops in the discard pile. I'm using that in my Lugia list currently as a pretty nice option that can not only be a draw supporter, but also a boss. You can get the Archeops in the discard pile. 1 research, 1 sitting as resolved for more discard options, and research is just a good card. And then 1 copy of Roxanne for a little bit of combat potential. We do see the 3 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball. No Bibarel, which I think, at least in this kind of deck, I would expect to see Bibarel, especially with like the 3 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball. But, maybe you don't need it here. You do have the Crobats. But 1 Crobat with like Heavy Path at Peak does seem a little bit excessive. I mean, we do have the Workers, the Lost Vacuum, and the Lost City here to counter our own paths. But I feel like Bibarel is definitely something that I would try and fit into this. We do see the 3 instants as well, which does make sense because we're playing, the Archeops. Our only Pokemon that doesn't evolve in the deck is Crobat. So we're going to be able to find that out. 3 switches, so we can switch in and out of our Pokemon easily. We do have Hiding Darks for Gengars, but we do want to be able to switch out of our Lugia, which is our probably a pretty decent starter for us. Use the 1 copy of Lost Vacuum, like I mentioned, to get rid of our own paths, as well as getting rid of opposing Big Charm, so your Gengar can get a 1-shot. 1 Urn of Vitality that can recycle those single strike energies, and then 1 copy of Choice Belt to buff that damage even more. We don't need Choice Belt too much because we do have 8 special energies that buff our Pokemon's damage. So Choice Belt might not be too necessary, but we do have it there as a nice option that can allow our Gengar to hit 280 without any of the single strike energies. You just need Hiding Darks and Auroras, which is cool. Anyway, this is the first list. I think this list is pretty decent. Like I said, there's a couple things I would change, trying to add a barrel to this, which seems pretty good. But other than that, it's really, really solid. And here, our second one, hopefully it's okay. Sorry, I need to make it so that doesn't switch to my YouTube tab. Let's go ahead and move the YouTube tab all the way over here. Okay. So, we have another Lugia VSTAR with Archeops, with Gengar VMAX. Obviously, we do have Archeops here. And this list is playing the Bibarel, like I mentioned. I think Bibarel will be good in this deck. Now, you might notice that there's this stack of cards here. And this is actually 4 Marnie and 4 Serena, and 2 Boss here as well. Now, I've actually noticed there's a couple lists here that play the 4 Marnie and 4 Serena. So you just have that Disruption supporter as well as that Gust supporter and aggressive kind of big draw supporter that also is utility for getting your Archeops in discard pile. So Serena Marnie combo seems to be kind of like a popular thing, which is interesting. But here, going back to the list, we have the 3-3 Lugia line, and the 2-2 Gengar VMAX, kind of the same thing as the last one. I believe the last one played 2 Lugia V-Star instead of 3, but this one has the 3. And for the most part, this is kind of the same thing. We do have the 2 copies of Urn of Vitality instead of the 1. We do have the full 4 Quick Ball this time, as well as only 2 Switch, which I do agree with. But full 4 Instance, which now that you have the barrel added into your deck, you have a lot of evolutions. So having 4 Instance to be able to find those as quickly and efficiently as possible is going to be really, really useful. The energy lineup, I think, is the same, except we're missing the V-Guards. There's no V-Guard energy. Actually, no, that's not true. These are 2 V-Guard energies. You can see a little bit of green here. So this is the exact same energy lineup as before. 2 Auroras. Actually, only 2 Hiding Darks, not 3. 2 V-Guards and then 4 Single Strike for powerful energy. So, at least for the early formats, a Lugia V-Star with Gengar VMAX is looking to be a pretty popular combo, which is something I did not expect. But it's definitely cool to see that innovation with the Lugia V-Star, realizing that it's not just limited to attacking with Lugia. You can add any other attacker you want. And we will see that with, I believe, no, it's not this, but it's one of the next ones. We're going to see a crazy Lugia list. But this is a Lugia V-Star with Giratina list that I initially, when Lugia first revealed, I kind of pitched this idea. You could play Lugia with Archeops and Giratina, which is kind of like Arceus Giratina, except just a little bit better, I think. Arguably, it is worse because Arceus' abilities are so insane. But sometimes Lugia can be this kind of the same thing. So we have the Lugia 4 Lugia Vs as well as 2 Lugia V-Stars here. So a 4-2 line, which seems a little bit excessive. I don't know why you want to play 4 Lugia Vs. I guess it's a good starter, but I feel like you'd rather start with Giratina V. So I'm not sure why we're playing 4 Lugia V. I think I'd just replace that for some other card. Looking at this list, a Switch card seems pretty decent to add. So we have the 2 Lugia V-Star line, and that the only reason we're playing 2 Lugia V-Stars instead of 3 is because ideally we're not attacking it. We're not attacking the Lugia too often. You can see we only actually have the 1 powerful energy instead of the full 4. The only reason that Lugia is here is to get that Archeops into play. And once we get that Archeops into play, then that's when our deck is really going to start moving. And we're going to be able to get the Giratina V-Star going and start accelerating with our Archeops, our special energies. So we have the 4 Aurora, 2 Horror energy here, 2 special Grass energy. That's when our deck is really going to start to get a lot more aggressive. We also have the 2 copies of Crobats and 1 copy of Crobat VMAX that can hit Mew for weakness, so that matchup isn't terrible at all. 1 Gardevoir, Radiant Gardevoir, 1 Pumpkaboo, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Instance, and this just looks like a pretty straightforward deck. But once again, so we're seeing that 4 Serena, 4 Marnie package, like I mentioned earlier, 2 Choice Belts, which I suppose lets our Giratina hit 210 or 310, and then 2 Lost Vacuum as well. So this is one of them, one of the other Lugias featuring Giratina, which I definitely think is a strong way to play the deck. It's a lot like the Gengar. That's just like Lugia to get out the Archeops, and then Giratina can just smack some high damage. All right, moving on here. Next, we have another Lugia VSTAR with Giratina. And this one is, let me look at this. Actually, I haven't looked at too many of these. This one plays the double turbo instead of the the Horror Energy and Aroma Energy. And we do see the 3-2 line of Giratina instead of the 3-3, which I guess is like debatable. I don't think it really matters too much in the end. You kind of just have this big gear. You're only really going to use like one Giratina ideally. If you could, because in this list specifically, you actually have double turbo energy. You can rely on that Lugia as an attacker a little bit more. We do see once again the 3 Archeops, which makes complete sense. 1 Crobat, 1 Lumineon, 1 Zapdos. We actually have the Zapdos here that can hit Arceus for weakness. That is another reason to play those double turbo energies. 1 copy of a Rengar that can stack things on top of the deck, like energies that you want to accelerate. If you have 2 mana energy in your hand, you can't accelerate them with Archeops. You can just use a Rengar, pop those on top of the deck, and now they're in the deck to accelerate with Archeops. We also see the powerful energies. Like this list is just seems a lot more reliant on Lugia as an attacker than just Giratina, and that's why we're seeing like the a little bit thinner line of Giratina VSTAR, the 4 powerfuls. Double Turbo as well can actually be lost owned by Giratina. Now I actually just realized why in this list there is only 3 Aurora Energy. That seems like a very bad idea because you need 2. You need at least 2 to attack with 1 Giratina. That means you're like really relying on these double turbo energies. I do not like 3 Aurora in this list at all, if I'm being completely honest. It really limits how you're going to be using your energies. It really limits how you can use Archeops to accelerate onto things. I definitely want in this list at least a 4th Aurora, maybe a couple of the Horror Energy and Aroma Energy, at least 1, just so you have a little bit more, so you can actually get value of 2 Giratinas if you want. But I suppose it might not matter as much because you have the 4 powerfuls for the Lugia. We see 4 Instance. Once again, we're seeing a lot of 4 Instance in these lists. So it's the 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 1 Air Balloon, 1 Switch, 2 Choice Belts that can help your Lugia again. 4 Serena again for helping you get your Archeops into discard pile. 2 Marnies, a Sharon's Care and a Boss, 2 Pass, Collapse Stadium, and for the rest, I think 4 Capture Energy actually. So Capture Energy is really going to help sure up those starts. Usually in the early turns with Lugia, you're not caring too much about where you attach your energy. Usually in the early games with Lugia, you're just worrying about retreating your guy and moving out of the active. It's not a Lugia, or in this case, a Giratina. So Capture Energy can just be really nice for that early game, adding even more consistency to our already pretty consistent 4 Quick Ball, 4 Evolution Instance, 4 Ultra Ball. And yeah, this one looks really good, except for the 3 Aurora Energy. I literally don't think there's any reason to just not play the 4th Aurora Energy, like bump down a double turbo, bump down a capture just for that 4th. That's definitely something that I would do, is add that 4th. But other than that, looks pretty good. Definitely solid list here. And is this okay? So this is a Lugia with Groudon VMAX. This is very similar to the Gengar, where you just have the Lugia that takes advantage of powerful energies, and then the Groudon, which takes advantage of the single strike energies. So you just have all these different damage buffs for your deck. And actually, I just realized that because Groudon actually takes 2 mental energies, it means that single strike energy doesn't pay that, which means you actually need to attach 2 aura energies, which actually makes this deck seem a little bit worse. I think Gengar is actually just better than Groudon. Groudon does have the ability, however, that can prevent damage from Pokemon Special Energy. So you're preventing things from Zoroark. You're preventing things from opposing Lugia. So it actually seems really solid now. It seems like there's a lot of pretty strong Lugia decks. We're just seeing the full 4 Archeops, which I don't hate, and this kind of like this list seems a lot more no, it's not. I was gonna say it's a little bit more greedy. It's not really that greedy. Groudon VMAX, I think, is just like a little greedy in terms of the energies that it requires. But other than that, I think this list is just pretty regular. We're seeing once again 4 Incense. That's becoming pretty common. I think we're playing the 4 of that, so we can just get the Archeops immediately into our hand to discard Serena. think is the idea there. One copy of Professor Burnett, which is interesting. It can just immediately get um, both 2 Archeops in discard pile. And if you just have an instance plus a Professor Burnett or a Luminion out plus an instance, you're just immediately getting 2 Archeops in play, which seems not bad actually. I might have to go ahead and pick up a Professor Burnett because that combo actually seems pretty decent. We're seeing 2 V-Guard energies once again, 2 Crystal Caves, 2 double turbo. The rest of this looks pretty regular. Pumpkaboo, I guess, is like kind of interesting one here. But yeah, once again, the 4 Marnie, 4 Serena package coming in. That's once again like really, really common in these lists I'm finding. Is that 4 Marnie plus 4 Serena. So you have that disruption, and then you have that gust and draw option. That can, because these Lugia decks really just want to go knock out 3/2 prizers for the game because they're just so easy at accelerating all the broken special energies to help you 1-hit KO things. That's just your optimal prize route because it's what your deck is best at, is knocking out 2 prizers. So really like that. Other than that, this list looks like it looks fine. Like I definitely think Gengar might be better in a vacuum. Because that actually can take better use of multiple single strike energies. Groudon is just inefficient use of single strike energies to buff the damage. If you want to get to like the 280 damage with the Groudon, you need 2 Auroras and 3 single strikes, which is really steep, or 2 single strikes in a choice belt, which is still that's really steep. You're just overloading your Groudon, and I think there's like at that point just play Gengar. It takes less energy, less commitment, less Archeops accelerations, so you can actually use your other Archeops acceleration on your Lugia, power that thing up. Other than that, yeah, I mean, Groudon maybe worse than Gengar, but once again, you still do have that ability to fall back on, which is a plus at least. Moving on, this is kind of like the list that I thought would be a lot more conventional heading in. Is this straight Lugia with this list playing a Blissey, which I do like a lot because, oh my gosh, excuse me, my voice is really, really going down the hill here. Okay. So we have the 4 copies of Lugia V, 3 copies of Lugia VSTAR. Obviously, that makes sense now because it's your main attacker in the deck. As you can see, the only other attacker we play is Blissey V. And the reason I like Blissey V is because it can recover those powerful energies. Once you like load 3 powerful energies onto a single Lugia, you don't have any way to recover them. And if you want to recover them, great, you just have Blissey that can just pop those 3 back on right onto the Blissey, and that thing can just become a huge threat. We do see 1 copy of Cape of Toughness, which is like okay. I don't really see the difference between Cape of Toughness and another Big Charm. I feel like Big Charm would be more useful because you have the 3 V-Guard energies, so just another Big Charm and to pop on your Lugias would be nice. But I guess also I see why they would play the Cape of Toughness because then your Blissey can survive Giratina, but it already survives Giratina with a V-Guard energy. So yeah, I think just a second Big Charm over the Cape of Toughness would be better. We see the full 4 Archeops again and 4 Incense. Once again, that 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Incense coming in again. And here we see again 4 Marnie, 4 Serena. There it is again, the 4 Marnie, 4 Serena package. Really seems to be a common thing here. And so you can get those Archeops in the discard pile. And we do see 3 Lost Vacuum. Not entirely sure why that's here. Oh, I think it's because you don't play a stadium counter. You don't play any stadium, so having 3 Lost Vacuum is like a pseudo stadium. That can also bump tools, can be nice for getting rid of big charms, things like that. You see the barrel here as well. That can help you draw through your deck, and that just makes the 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Quick Ball engine that much better. I really like this list, except for the Cape of Toughness. I feel like that 1 cape feels like a little bit weird. I feel like that should just be another big charm, might be better, especially considering the V-Guard energy that can basically turn a big charm into a cape for the most part. So yeah, other than that, this list looks really, really good. 4 Archeops seems cool. And I also forgot to mention Radiant Gardevoir here as more additions. So yeah, I think now that you have Radiant Gardevoir and Big Charm and V-Guard energy, that just makes Big Charm is a better option than Cape of Toughness, in my opinion. 3 track you choose to get through your deck more. That can obviously help discard Archeops as well. Really, really, really cool list here. This is going to be a long video. We're barely through this. Okay, now this is one of the cooler Lugia lists that I saw. This one is really teched out and really interesting. It's at its heart, it is still like the straight Lugia deck. You see the 3 Lugia V-Stars, 4 Lugia Vs, the Archeops, and then the tech Pokemon here with the Oranguru, which I think is really good in the deck. Dunsparce, Pumpkaboo, Rain, Gardevoir, and we have these little attackers here. This is a Ditto V and Ditto V Max that can copy things like Lost Impact, for example, on Giratina, just knock out that. It can just has a lot of cool uses. Copy Palkia, just want to kill Palkia, which is cool. And you also get the added bonus of actually being able to play Ditto V that can transform into any of your other attackers. It can transform into the Stoutland V, which I actually think is really good in this deck. I saw that Stoutland V, and I was like, wow, Stoutland V is actually like very good in Lugia because you can actually accelerate your powerful energies to it, and just one powerful energy attached to a Stoutland, and that thing is hitting 60 damage and taking an additional prize card when it knocks out basics, which means just for one powerful energy, you're knocking out Sobble for 2 prizes on turn 2 with an Archeops and stuff. Once again, Archeops not too hard to pull off when you have that Lugia VSTAR and like the Serena research, the 4 Ultra Balls, things like that. And 2 of the powerful energies, and you're doing 80 damage. You're knocking out Comfy now, and that is where that double Fangs attack seems to get really attractive. Is when that is starting to hit the 80 damage threshold. Now you knock out Comfy, Sablon, evolving things like that to just really win the race against those single prize Lost Zone decks. Once again, we do still see the Blissey V here that can recover those energies because you have no way to recover them. Now for supporters, once again, we see the high count of Serena with 3 this time instead of 4, but we're also actually seeing research now. 3 research, 2 boss, a Sharon's Care and a Marnie. Sharon's Care seems good. It works very well with Stoutland, so that if that Stoutland gets hit by like Cram, you can just bring that thing back up to your hand. Escape Rope, hopefully your opponent puts up like a Comfy or something because Lost Zone box is just filled with Comfies. You can knock that out again. Just accelerate to that Stoutland that you just put in your hand. And Sharon's Care just a really solid card, obviously, in any colorless deck. Engine is 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Quick Ball, 3 Incense. We do see the Lost Vacuum, Big Charm, Switch, Air Balloon, Escape Rope, and Choice Belt. And the special energy is the 3 Double Turbo Energy, because that just works. Double Turbo is just good in these all colorless decks. 1 copy of Gift Energy, which is cool. You can accelerate to Lugia, good value out of that, and then re-accelerate it onto the Blissey later, which is cool to get even more value out of it. 2 V-Guard energies, 4 Capture energies to help you set up your board even more, which is kind of merits that 3 Quick Ball. And then, of course, the 4 Powerful energies, which is a staple in this kind of closed box deck. I think this kind of style of deck could be really good. Ditto V and VMAX seems really cute and a really good, too, for getting back like all your just good attackers. Could be a 5th copy of Lugia V. Just a lot of different things you can do with the Ditto. And the Ditto VMAX is just cool, too. There's a lot of cool things in this list that I really do like. This is one that I would save in the back of your mind. All right, and this is the spicy Lugia VSTAR. Now, this image is a little blurry. I apologize. It is not my image, obviously. And this is a full-on Aurora box Lugia with the 3/3 Lugia VSTAR, 4 Archeops, 2/1 Crobat VMAX. So you have that option tag with Crobat VMAX, Luminion, and then the kind of tech Pokemon here. 1 copy of Amazing Rare Raikou, 1 copy of Amazing Rare Yveltal, and 1 copy of Radiant Charizard. Now, they all have their different uses. Obviously, Crobat VMAX can knock out Mew. You do have the 4 War Energies to accelerate onto that, as well as 1 copy of Hiding Dark as well. So you have a decent amount of Dark Energies in your deck that can be used, that can at least be hopefully in your deck to accelerate with the Archeops. We do still see, we see the Lumineon, which you actually can attack with. It's actually not a bad attack. Awkward turn, doing 120 and shuffling into the deck for double colorless and a water. That can be fulfilled with just a single Archeops. If you just Archeops a double turbo and a Aurora energy onto that Lumineon, it can just do 100 damage, which isn't bad. You can finish that off with like Crobat VMAX, for example, or maybe even Archeops. Archeops does have an attack. It does 120 for 3 energy, not bad. But that Lumineon goes back in your deck so you can reuse it later in the game. Then we have 1 copy of Amazing Rare Raikou, which can KO Palkia, obviously, with the 2 choice spells you play. Amazing Rare Yveltal, which is a really good, just like kind of burst, like pop-off option. It's like, yeah, I have 2 Archeops in play, and I have this Amazing Rare Yveltal on my bench. Like, what are you going to do? All right, this Amazing Rare Yveltal just in my deck. What are you going to do? At any time, I can just put this Yveltal down, Air Blue my active retreat, and just knock out your guy instantly. and that is obviously just super, super good. You have 2 double turbo energies, so you can pay this Yveltal with just 2 Archeops. If you just accelerate with 1 Archeops, you accelerate like a fire and the like if one of the heat fire and then like an Aurora, and then the other one you accelerate the second Aurora and a double turbo. You're just knocking out anything, which is good. Radiant Charizard obviously is a super strong card that can do 250 and then attack costs 1 color less for each prize card your opponent taken. And you can attack with the Radiant Charizard really, really early because you can just Archeops onto it. You can just Archeops in Aurora Energy and double turbo energy and attack with that thing for 230, which is pretty good. I'm pretty sure there's really bad glare on these. These got to be 4 Quick Ball. Don't know what else they would be. Once again, if you've seen the 4 Incense, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Choice Bells, and Air Balloon, Echoing Horn, which is interesting. That pairs really nice with Raikou. 2 copies of Lost Sweeper because once again we'll be playing no stadium bumps in this, except for those Lost Vacuums. And here it is. Here it is again. 4 Serena in the deck, as well as 3 Marnies instead of 4. But to counteract that loss of the 4th Marnie, we are playing 2 Research into Sharon's Care that can get those Lugias back. Energies, I've been mentioning the double turbo energies that can be used with obviously your Lugia, but also your Charizard, your Yveltal. Guard energy, which is just strong guard, making your Lugia live. 4 powerfuls makes sense. You can one-shot things. Lugia, Auroras, things like that. Twin energy, which is cool as well. Kind of like a 3rd double turbo sometimes. This list seems really cool. I don't know how good it'll be. Aurora Box Lugia definitely seems like a cool deck. Don't know how good it'll be though. Is this okay? I think this is our last Lugia list. No, my gosh, there's a lot of Lugia. I think I might actually just finish this or just do this video with just only Lugia because this has been a super long video so far. Okay, so here's another Lugia list. This one is kind of like a refined. I have not exactly refined. A like condensed version of this deck. We're not going as wild with like the Raikou and Yveltal and stuff. This one we're kind of just going more moderate with just Lugia and kind of cutting off the Yveltal and Raikou and just saving the Charizard because just Charizard's a strong card. 2 Echoing Horn in this, which is good for, like I mentioned, Lugia's like optimal prize map is knockout 3/2 prizers, and Echoing Horn helps with that once again, because we have the 4 Serenas. We can just Echoing Horn Serena, so anything if our opponent has it in the discard pile, which is cool. Once again, 4 Serena, 4 Marnie, 2 Research, the 3 Paths, and 1 Collapsed. Makes sense. 3 Archeops. We do see like the varying between 3 Archeops and 4 Archeops. Not sure which one's better. I haven't tested that yet, but I feel like there is going to be a definitive option at some point of if it's better to have 4 Archeops or just a 3 is fine. We see the Oranguru, the Pumpkaboo, to pump things, then Groudon Lumineon. This list looks really, really solid. Just going all on a consistency. The only like spicy thing is Radiant Charizard. Other than that, this list is really good. Energy is of course the 4 powerful. Like a lot of these lists have 4 Auroras, 4 double turbos, and 3 V-Guard energies. And this is kind of the way that I've been building Lugia. Minus Radiant Charizard, of course, but this kind of style of deck is what I've been experimenting with. Okay. And this is another kind of version of just like this kind of simple. We do still have that little bit of spice of the Yveltal in there, but other than that, it looks pretty regular. We do have Leon, which is interesting. Not sure how needed that's going to be, though. I mean, I guess it combos pretty well with them. Choice Belt, there's 3 Choice Belt in this, so this is just going all in on one killing things because we have the Yveltal to one kill things. We have the Leon to help you one KO things. So Leon plus Choice Belt with no powerfuls attached to your Lugia will one-shot a VSTAR, which is cool. Roxanne, 4 Research, and only 2 Serena, so kind of leaning more on that Research now instead of Serena. There are the 4 Auroras, which is really cool because actually Raining Greninja, you can actually attack with Raining Greninja. Just 2 Auroras. You can attack with Raining Greninja, and for the same reason that Giratina is good because it can threaten Greninja, Palkia is good because it can threaten Greninja. Lugia also has that option to threaten the Greninja that can take 2 prizes and destroy a board at any point almost. So that's really, really solid. Once again, we're seeing the Stoutland V, which I think is pretty good in this deck. 3 Archeops instead of 4. Oranguru. This list is really, really solid as well. These last 2 lists is kind of what I expect kind of Lugia to kind of, what's the right word? Like, oh my gosh, I can't think of it. And anyway, these 2 lists I think are pretty, are standard. this is what I think like Lugia is going to become kind of standard of, is like this more like pretty moderate Lugia focused deck that can also have a couple little different spicy things, which is a really cool option and deck. We see the 3 double turbos, 2 V guards, a hiding dark here as well that can help us shoot our Crobat. A switch or rope with balloons still though. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I think this next one is Regidrago and Regilucky. So we're gonna save that for a different video. This video has been insanely long. I did not expect it to go this long. I talked pretty in depth about some of these lists, but that's pretty. That was a pretty good video. I'm glad I did that. Lugia is definitely looking really solid. I definitely think it's gonna be good. I can't believe why people would think this deck would be bad. It just has so many good things going for it. There's so many things you can do with it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe.